Hello, this is Matthew from Made for Math. Thank you for joining me. I am going to be covering adding fractions today. So as we talk about fractions, it's good to review the terms numerator and denominator. Numerator is how many parts of the whole I have, and denominator names the size of the piece or total pieces in a set, the total amount of parts. When we talk about common denominators, common means to share, and denominator is to name. So common denominator is to share a name. So one dog plus one dog equals two dogs. We have a common denominator of dogs. Two cats plus one cat equals three cats. So we have a common denominator here. We share a name of cats. When we get to talking about fractions, we can say 1/4 plus 1/4 is 2/4. These two fractions share a name. They have a common denominator of fourths. Now, things get a little interesting when we start adding things that appear to not share a name. So here we have two dogs plus one cat. What could be the common denominator? What could these two sets share? Two dogs plus one cat equals three animals. So animals would be our common name or our common denominator. Let's look at some examples on an app called Braining Camp. So right here I have 1/3 plus 1/3. My denominator in each fraction is a third, so they do share a name. 1/3 plus 1/3 equals 2/3. I have 2 out of 3 total parts. Its name is 2/3. Now in this fraction, I have 1/2 plus 1/4. Are my denominators the same? No, they do not share a name at this point. So I have 1/2. Its name is defined by the denominator. It is a half. It's 1/2. And I have a 1/4. So as of now, these two fractional pieces do not have a common denominator. But what I can do is I can go over here and see if I could rename these two fraction pieces in terms of another denominator. So let me look at my 1/5. Could I rename 1/2 in terms of fifths? I could not. Let me look at thirds. Could I rename 1/2 in terms of thirds? I could not. What about sixths? Could I rename 1/2 in terms of sixths? This is an equivalent fraction, which means it is the same amount, but represented with different numbers. So I renamed 1/2 3/6. Same quantity, more pieces in this case. But we still do not have the same denominator. Now I have 3/6 plus 1/4. I wonder if I could rename my 1/4 in terms of sixths. So sixths are not going to be the name that 1/2 and 1/4 share. So let's go back. Delete these. Let's try eighths. Can I rename 1/2 in terms of eighths? I can. 1/2 is equivalent, the same amount as 4/8. Can I do the same thing with 1/4 in an attempt to find some common ground? 1/4 is 2/8. I can. Now my fractions share a name. Their name but they share is eighths. So I have 4/8 plus 2/8. Can put these together. To give me 6/8. There they are. Let's look at this from a different perspective on the number line. So right here I have 1/2 plus 1/3. So as of now, my two fractions do not share a name. I have one piece that is named in terms of halves and one piece that's named in terms of thirds. I really don't have a name for this right now. If you look as I show the pieces on this number line, we can see that 1/2 is the same as 3/6. And 1/3 is 1/6, 2/6. If we put those fractions together, now that we have common names of 6, we would get 5/6 right here. Let's look at an example without fraction tiles. So here I have 1/3 plus 1/2, and we built this earlier. But what I can do is I can multiply the 1/3 by a quantity of 1 or a copycat of 1, 2 halves, based on the denominator of the fraction I am adding to the 1/3. So, and when I multiply across, I get 2, multiply my denominator times my denominator, 2/6. And any number divided by itself is a quantity of 1. So I took 1/3, multiplied it by a quantity of 1, so it didn't change the value or its size, and I was able to rename it 2/6. I'm going to do the same thing to the 1/2. I'm going to multiply the 1/2 by 3/3. I got the 3/3 from the denominator of the fraction I'm adding to the 1/2. So multiply across 1/2. 1 times 3 is 3. 2 times 3 is 6. Again, any number over itself is a quantity of 1 or a copycat 1. That is 1. So I did not change the value of 1/2. I changed the way it is represented or it looks. So now I have 2/6 plus 3/6. I have common ground, common names, and I can add these fractions together to get 5/6. Thank you so much for joining me, and that is adding fractions